Well, hello, my lovelies, my wonderful friends, my fantastical family. It is time once more for another installment of this story. This is from our friend, That Green Bear. No, that one. Quit looking over there. We go through this every time. Okay, this is Unfortunate Nookie Part 3. It's your fault I touched her boob. What? I have several questions about this. Hello, hello. I've consulted some of my fellow Nookie survivors for some choice memories and opinions in the story thus far, as well as snooped around to see how much evidence of her insanity I have saved. It's going to get increasingly difficult to keep the timeline straight, but I will try my best. There is just so much. No particular warnings in this, but I will say there are scary, heavy topics in this saga, so proceed with caution. That goes for all of you. I would tell you exactly what those warnings are, but I'm not allowed to say a lot of those words on YouTube because they'll get you demonetized and sometimes deplatformed. Thanks, YouTube! Can't even warn you how bad it gets. Don't you just love YouTube? Seriously, fuck this platform. Anyway, we have some new additions to the cast. Brute, one of Ewan's new friends in vocational school. Brutally honest without being malicious, had proper resting bitch face, was tiny, as in both short and skinny, would be friend to Greenie via the Fabulous Peacock in the years to come, and still is. Cool. Fabulous Peacock. Brute's best friend since kindergarten, a hairdresser that had endless patience and an uncanny ability to discuss and get along with absolutely anyone. Polite to a fault, tall, skinny, usually with some wild hair color. That sounds fucking amazing. Fabulous as well. Oh, we'll get along just fine. FP had a good sense of style and taste, and her makeup was always on point. As the would-be best friend to Greenie, at this point, Greenie didn't know about FP, and FP only knew Greenie as, quote, the slut who stole the father of my unborn child and always talks down to me. Emo, Ewan's girlfriend for 9 whole days. Friend to both Brute and FP way before Ewan showed up. Vegan, Ewan's lesbian best friend who had rejected her. Okay, time for the next section of this train wreck. Let's go. The story thus far. Ewan had 2 boys running after her. No one really knew which one was dating her. One she had assaulted. The other bought her stuff. The first she attacked, NHB. Unfortunate Ewan cheated on and got pregnant with a third guy, her first love. She also had an abortion. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word. All this nonsense made NHB fall behind a year while Ewan moved to vocational school. Meanwhile, OP, Greenie, had gotten to know NHB through her friend Mimic, who had a huge crush on NHB and was trying to win him over. But as a surprising plot twist, NHB fell for Greenie instead. After a lot of pressuring and first dumping Ewan on Valentine's Day, NHB does manage to start dating Greenie to the dismay of both Ewan and Mimic. Ewan returns to her old school with a new 30-year-old goth legit vampire fiancé to intimidate Greenie unsuccessfully and cause enough jealousy in NHB, also not having the desired effect, to make him come back to her. She was also now a vampire because, obviously, she'd always been a vampire. Duh. Greenie starts to wonder, why is she like this? Maybe, just maybe, she needs a friend. I cannot tell you what motivated me to befriend her. I guess I really did want to understand her. Keep in mind, this girl had shat all over me and her ex, NHB, on DeviantArt, where some of these comments still reside. Whenever she felt attacked, Ewan became vicious, vindictive, petty, and mean. For me, I think it slowly evolved into this idea of, if I can help her, I can redeem Ewan. There is hope for me. I can help me if I can help her. I wanted to keep my mother's memory alive by trying to show anyone and everyone deserved love. I, too, wanted to be a champion for the lonely and misunderstood. A really nice idea, but I hadn't yet learned that we all need to help ourselves, and all the people around us can do is support us. And also that Ewan had no desire or capability to change. I got on and checked. Some of the oldies and goldies still reside publicly online for us to feast upon. Ewan's post on NHB's DA profile a month before they break up. You haven't drawn me a birthday picture, meanie. NHB replies, well, did you ask for one? I thought you wanted the skirt, and you got a shirt to boot. Ewan, but still, crying emoji. Oh god, they're those people. They're those people. I'm gonna walk into the fucking ocean. I'm already cringing, and we're just starting. Oh, God, I remember this shit. Yuen was famous for starting pity parties to beg for gift art. Of course she did. She always have some sob story or her birthday or whatnot to really wish someone would be so kind as to draw a little on me something, as no one ever does anything for me. Gift art is so rare to receive. You know, I've gotten gift art. I don't beg for it or bitch about it. I love it. I love when you guys send me stuff. But it's mainly because people, like you and want to give you things. If you're just one of those people who just, complains and wants art because you think your OC or whatever is oh so cool, but you've never actually done anything, no one's gonna fucking make anything for you. That's kind of the whole point of gift art, is you have to kind of be known by people and they want to give you things. Duh. But I'd see for years and years how she befriended other artists, get free things, get called out for not caring about them, and just using them and just being there fishing for freebies. And then do a classic Nookie flip and go, well, your art sucks anyway. A lot of people agree with me. And then ghost the now dry art faucet. But I digress. A month after Yuen and NHP broke up, someone who followed me on DA posted on NHP's profile, "Hey, I came here from Greenie's page, but I gotta say, she didn't lie. You are fantastic. I'd watch you if I didn't have so many watchers already. But seriously, man, keep up the awesome work. I'll try to pop by your page every now and then."
Oh, thank you. I don't do so much works for several reasons. My gallery is so quiet. Therefore, I'm not upset because you did not choose to watch me.
And Yuen, for some fucking reason, just pfft. That's all it says. There was a time I could access NHB's DA account and see the glorious notes Yuen sent, which vary aplenty, where she would switch between calling me a slut and a whore and hoping that he gets STDs from me, to shitty poetry asking for her love to return to her, and for without him she was not. Oh God, did she really write that? I'm going, ocean. I'm going. Here we go. To telling NHB that he's a piece of shit and he should self-end. Alas, the access is gone, so might be the notes. Yuen, 3 days later, still on NHB's profile.
Oh, fuck you, go fuck your little whore.
Yuen, still on NHB's profile the next day.
Oh, and one more thing. It doesn't fucking matter to ye what I say with me and my friends. You've talked enough shit about me behind my back, too.
I've known some mutual friends NHB had made the mistake of talking to, longer than ye, and I will tell her how things are. Your opinion is naturally different, so shut the fuck up, no one asked you a damn thing. Leave my friends alone, or I can't say that on YouTube. NHB replied,
"Someone in a bad mood, typical for you. You get mad at juvie for that, so just try and grow up." Think yourself. You made me suffer like this with your behavior.
I'm just getting ye. As in, you're speaking Old English now? 'Twas ye. Oh, God, I'm just getting this.
I'll show ye.
You made me suffer like this with your behavior. I wasn't good enough for ye as a lover or a friend. Now you can suffer.
I am fucking dying.
Fuck you, and you can go to juvie, you twat.
I'm putting ye instead of you because in her native tongue she chose a very strange dialect to write online with, which I've seen no one else do before or since, and twat because she chose a really golden odd word to insult him with, but I digress. Oh, ye must go to juvie, thine twat. I'm really glad you did. It just makes this sound like an online DeviantArt argument between Shakespearean characters. After these, I sent Yuen a DA note where she could scan her art, gosh, probably sometime in May. So about 3 months into dating in HB, she attached herself to me like a tick, told me all about her life, about details I didn't ask. Mostly she kept explaining how she is so very, very, very lonely. Also, her commentary on my DA profile turned into lots and lots of hearts. Thank you, my darling, over-the-top lovey-dovey commentary. Which, considering she just a few weeks ago wanted my boyfriend to self-end and called me a whore in no uncertain words, was pretty wild. Anyway, since she said she was lonely, I tried to give her as much time as I could. As I mentioned before, she's very openly told me she's still pining after NHB and wants her true love back.
Do you think you could just give him back to me? I really am no good on my own.
I'm sorry, I can't. It's not really up to me. I didn't take him, He chose to be with me. So if he were to come back to you, he's the one who would have to make that choice again.
So, you're not opposed?
Not exactly. I mean, I'd be sad, but personally I don't see how or why I should force him to stay with me if he doesn't want to be with me. But also, I can't help you get him back. It's his choice. This pissed off NHB.
So you would just let her have me without a fight?
Oh, dear God. Don't expect people to fight over you. That is shockingly trashy. It's one thing if you, see somebody hitting on your significant other and you're like, hey man, they don't like that, knock it off. But trying to basically start a fight between the two people who are after you makes you King Douche of fucking Summer's Eve Isle. Which, considering what we know about NHB, seems pretty fucking accurate. I mean, if that's what you wanted, yeah. The way I see it, if you love someone, you want to see them happy. If you felt happier with her than with me, of course I'd let you leave. I don't understand why you're upset.
How can you be so dense? You really don't care about me at all. How could you say something so horrible? I thought you cared about me.
There's that manipulation. I really didn't understand. And this was one of those instances which would become repeating patterns in my relationship with NHB, where he'd press, bully, and force me to have his opinion. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. He'd not drop the issue until I said to the affirmative that I am agreeing with him. He didn't care if I cried and was upset. It never stopped him. He only cared that I was in line and doing what he wanted and thinking what he wanted me to think. This was for bigger issues and for smaller opinions, such as his classic opinion of everyone's straight, all these gay, lesbian, whatever weirdos are just lying to themselves. Well, I didn't need more of a reason to hate this motherfucker, but you went and gave me one anyway, didn't you? Fuck you, you Naruto headbanded little fucking freak. You can't change these people. We're not lying to ourselves, you weak-willed little shit. He was not content to agree or disagree, but chased me around our apartment for several hours until I said I'd agree with him. But I'm jumping ahead of myself. Let's get back to the very first year with these two. So I spent a lot of my time with UN. I also started to unofficially live at NHB's house because his mother said it was okay, and, well, because my brother was never home. He was also relieved he didn't have to look after me. This meant that UN would often come to NHB's house to hang out with me, and it would be the three of us. NHB was not happy about this, obviously, but somehow I managed to convince him to let her be around. I think some part of him wanted her around because she was easy and I was not. Anyway, I'd get introduced to some of my all-time favorite games by the two of them, such as Final Fantasy 7 and 9, never played either, and the Jak and Daxter series, never played that either. And before anybody comments, you're not gonna make me. I'd also run into yet another feature of UN that I hate to this day, her inability to not spoil things.
Oh, I remember this part. You're gonna have to fight a silver dragon.
I really appreciate your help and tips with the game, but could you please not spoil what happens next? I kind of want to experience it and find out what happens on my own. If I need help, I'll ask.
I don't get why you're so snippy. Jeez, it's not like I told you the dragon's weak against fire and you just need to throw fire magic and summon at it to win.
And that is exactly what happened next. Ran into a silver dragon, had to throw fire at it. Hooray. No matter how I prefaced, warned, explained, yelled to UN to not spoil XYZ, she just would. And usually in that annoying backhanded, it's not like I told you the spoiler I just asked you not to say. NHB was a different flavor of awful gamer. If I got stuck in some part, he'd laugh at me and say,
that's easy, how can you not get past it?
Oh, he's a douchebag. And I'd ask if he could help, and he'd take the controller full of confidence and swagger and just do stupid stuff in the game for cool points. Like, he wouldn't do the hard part, he'd try to do it with flair, and fail, repeatedly, over and over, then give me back the controller when the hard part's still unresolved. Why couldn't you just do that part? Why all the unnecessary stuff?
It's not worth it if it's not cool. Besides, it's your game, so you should solve it.
Oh, so he's also a dick. Good. I mean, I guess, but it didn't seem that easy after all. I mean, you couldn't get past it either, huh? And I'd smile in an attempt to try and bring us on the same level, as if to communicate that this part is hard for everyone. NHB was not having it.
Somebody thought you suck at video games.
Oh, yeah, so he's an extra douchebag. And Ewan piped in laughing. He's like,
Yeah, I mean, even though I told you to get past this part, you were too stupid not to talk about health potions. No wonder you keep dying. When I play this, I'm always super prepared, so it's easy for me.
They would unite to both let me know that I suck at video games. Joy. They both seemed to derive joy in putting others down, just so they'd be better by comparison. Yeah, there's a thing about insecure motherfuckers who do that kind of shit. Up until they'd start to fight over something petty, like which is better, Nintendo or PlayStation.
Oh, the console wars. I remember them. They were completely fucking pointless. They still are.
It'd devolve into really fast kindergarten-level verbal slaps like,
well, you smell. Not as bad as you.
And Ewan would be running out the door crying. I, in the beginning, dutiful and wanting to help her, would go after her, even though at the very beginning I didn't understand why she had run out, and why I'd have to go after her.
Why does he have to be such a dick?
I don't know, but you did get pretty mean in there in the end of yourself, you know?
It's only because he wouldn't stop being such an asshole.
I hear you, but you know, an eye for an eye makes the world blind. This didn't really turn out how either of you wanted, did it?
I just can't help it. I get aggressive when cornered.
I see that. It's just not the best way to handle things, but you get better. And he could have been gentler, too.
I'm sorry to be such a burden. I'm sorry I caused a scene. I'm sorry such a piece of shit.
It's okay, really. I'm sorry I'm such a piece of shit was a sentence I'd hear thousands of times and learn to hate. Ewan was really good at feeling sorry about herself, and whenever you wanted to talk about whatever she did wrong or how she hurt you, she'd whip out her catchphrase, I'm sorry I'm such a piece of shit, and not acknowledge that what she did was wrong or apologize for the thing that she did wrong. She'd just call herself shit and then quit. If you didn't soothe her, she'd threaten to self-end. So in essence, you'd always be apologizing to her that she hurt you. Yeah, that's a very common manipulation tactic. It's basically shifting the blame. She was the one who did the bad thing and should be blamed for the bad thing, but wants to change the narrative so that it's more like you need to apologize to her so she can continue to feel better about herself even though she did something awful. It's pretty fucking bullshit. And if you know anybody who does that, stop talking to them. Because that's fucking evil. Back to hanging out with my new besties. We'd end up back inside, and I'd managed to smooth things over with her and NHB. It'd start to get late. Ewan didn't have any intentions of leaving, it seemed. She kept making up reasons like, let's have some hot cocoa, to play for time, only she wouldn't have cocoa. Ewan would pour herself into a bowl, some milk. Then she explained she's a cat, or when I gave her a perturbed look, felt very cat-like. Oh dear God. I think I knew where this was going. She said she liked to purr when she was happy, and that she just liked to lick milk from a bowl, which she then proceeded to do, much like she had explained being a vampire and bit me as proof. She was now showcasing how much of a cat she was. I didn't know how to react to it then, and I still don't to this day. She'd also meow and explain meowing is something that she just loves to do. My brain eventually rebooted from its 404 state, and I shrugged and managed even a small smile and said, hey, whatever makes you happy. She then brought her nasty, dank, now also slightly milk-smelling face closer to mine and pushed it like a cat, attempting whatever noise it is people try to purr like cats, and then hugged me. The cringe is over 9,000, but I was trying to oblige and be accepting, and it was really starting to reach my limit. Shouldn't you be going home soon? Greenie, if you're listening to this, and I think you are, sit down. I assume you're sitting. You know, at a desk, you have to be sitting down unless you have some kind of like standing desk. You think you're better than me? I'm kidding. But also sit down. Honey, that's called an otherkin. And yes, they are fucking weird. And if you are an otherkin who hears this and you're upset with me, sorry, not sorry. It's fucking weird. Stop growling at beef in the grocery store. Stop pretending to be a cat. You are pretending. You're not actually a cat. There's no such thing as second souls, and you weren't a cat in a past life. That's not how anything works. Sorry. And yeah, your patience for this is surprising, but your disgust and confusion and utter what the fuckery, totally understandable. That's how I felt the first time I found out about it too. And I used to know a bunch of furries, so yeah. Just when you think it can't get any more cringe, somehow the well gets deeper. NHB chimes in with,
Yeah, you have been here all day. Leave.
UN about to cry.
I don't want to go home, please.
Well, I mean, it's a big house. I'm sure you could sleep somewhere, right? UN lit up like a Christmas tree and glomped me, oh dear God, while squeeing way too loud in my ear. Oh, fucking Christ, I'm going to die. NHB looked like he died inside. Yeah, well, go ahead and set up a second coffin, because I'm going to join the motherfucker. Holy shit. So I set up a bed for UN in a separate room. She fidgeted behind me nervously. I finished making her bed and went, there, all cozy as we can make it. Sleep well.
I can't sleep alone.
I get it. I know what it's like to feel alone, but you're not. Everybody's here. Myself, NHB, his brothers, his mom. You know, if you're lucky, one of the dogs might even come in here with you, you know?
I can't sleep alone!
And then crying, she continues,
I get awful nightmares. I need to feel someone next to me is safe. Otherwise, I'll be too scared.
God, the manipulation is just amazing. The doormat, I mean myself, don't yell, please. Everyone's trying to sleep already. A small eternity passed where I tried to solve this unsolvable, and she had the quivering lip and was crying and looked at me with begging eyes. Okay, I guess our bed is big enough to fit 3. I'm sorry, I just had to get that out.
Oh my God, thank you!
And she dashed into NHB's room, to which his mother had given me and him a twin bed to share. Now, my plan had been to sleep in the middle. However, UN placed NHB in the middle. NHB glaring daggers at me.
It's your fault if something happens.
Stop. What the fuck you mean by that? What the fuck you mean something happens? What the fuck you mean you think something's gonna happen? What does that mean? What are you trying to say? Explain yourself, headband. I was uncomfortable with the entire situation. I was uncomfortable with NHB's threat and accusation. I joined them in bed and spent my time before passing out due to exhaustion, trying to convince myself that I was doing the right thing by helping a lost soul, and that nothing would happen. And if something did happen, well, if they wanted to get back together, who was I to stop them, really? Oh, dear God, I wish I had a time machine and could pull you out of this shit, because, honey, you deserve better than this. The next day, we finally get UN to leave, and NHB immediately turned on me. He started emotional and sad and hugged me.
Oh, sweetie, I'm so sorry.
For what? I'm sorry I insisted on her staying. I just didn't want to be mean to her, but last night was weird, right? I laughed nervously in a feeble attempt to try and ease the tension.
I know you meant well, even though this was super stupid, but that's not it. I'm sorry for what happened last night.
What happened last night?
So I was like half asleep and I already didn't know who was next to me, and I swear my hand touched a boob and I fondled it.
Go on.
When she moaned, I realized it wasn't you and I let go. I'm so sorry, babe. I promise I didn't need to.
Well, I mean, you were half asleep, so I guess I understand.
I mean, it wouldn't have happened if you didn't let her into our bed. I told you it's your fault if you don't fight for me. This wouldn't have happened if you cared enough to fight her.
Kill him. Kill him now.
And he left me. Like I just pissed him off, and not like he was the one who did wrong and was apologizing. Yeah. I didn't have the space emotionally to be upset. He just fondled another girl because, as he put it, I was the bad guy here. Ah, the gaslighting and manipulation. He'd sweet talk, convince, turn me onto his side, and when he had me, flip the table and insult, berate, or belittle me into my place. If verbal cues were not enough, he'd assault me or use violence. And I don't mean assault, I mean a different word that I'm not allowed to say on YouTube anymore. If I didn't need more of a reason to hate this motherfucker. Yeah, I'm feeling it now. You know what keel hauling is? Kind of feel like we need to do that. It happened slowly and subtly over the years, and he'd play my fear into being alone into,
If you're not with me, then you don't have a place to exist, but lucky for you, I tolerate you. No one else would.
Also, as a side note, Ewan's chest was smaller than mine, so the excuse of not knowing who he was touching seems flimsy. Yeah, it's because he's fucking lying. Sorry, I'm really mad now. During that summer, within some weeks of the sleepover disaster, I would have been home at my brother's, probably to pick up a fresh set of clothes. I was waiting for my bus to go back to his house when I get a text from an HB.
Sweetie, you need to come back quick.
Hey, I'm on my way. I'm just waiting for the bus. What's wrong?
You had showed up out of nowhere. It's just the two of us in the house.
Okay, play some games. I'm like an hour away. I'll be there as soon as I can. Tell her I said hi.
How can you be so dead sometimes?
What?
We're alone in the house. You know what she's like. I can't be blamed if something happens. Motherfucker.
You are not. You are fucking not. I swear to God, I'm gonna lose my shit. What do you mean? Something like what?
If something happens between me and her, she's awfully close. Please get here soon. I can't take much more of this.
You ever get that rage where you just start seeing gray? It's gone past red and now you're just gray. Yeah, I'm getting there. Getting it. Not taking a lot of shit at this point. Oh, honey, yes you have. I've been trying my utmost to be kind to everyone involved. This made me snap, though. Good. Burn him. You can't help yourself? Fine. Do whatever you want. It's all I ever wanted you to do. If she makes you happy, just get back together with her. But don't blame me for what you choose to do.
Remember, if something happens, it's your fault.
Shut the fuck up. I'm sorry, she didn't say that. I did. I just shut the fuck up. Just really need to get that out. I felt all kinds of awful taking the bus over, which was NHB's intention. I get there, and they're on the opposite side of the room, clearly guilty. Of course. At this point, I was really tired. Tired due to still dealing with the loss of my mother. I was perpetually exhausted and low-key depressed. But in this instance, I was extremely tired with the both of them. Look, if you two still have feelings for each other, just get back together. Don't let me stand in your way. I don't care what you think. The way I love is that I set people free. If this is what the two of you want, then go for it. I'm not going to stop you. NHB looked shocked. Was that anger behind the shock? Ewan was crying with that lip quiver again. I think I ran out. I went to the nearby woods and just cried. I felt sorry for myself. Eventually, after a bazillion missed calls and some lovey-dovey texts from NHB, I came back to his house. He again proceeded to sweet-talk me into his arms before 180 flipping his attitude.
That was a very stupid thing to do. A very UN thing to do, running away like that. Know that I am done running after stupid bitches. Kill this motherfucker. You will not run away again.
I'm sorry, what?
And if you truly love me, you will not let other girls have me. If you don't fight them, you'll be all alone. No one will like a girl like you, who doesn't care about their boyfriend.
This motherfucker. That hug, as many hugs in the future, would make me feel extremely claustrophobic, and I'd want to scream, want to run away, but he was stronger, and he'd constrict harder if I tried to get out before saying something to the affirmative, that I understood what he said and agreed. It also started the cycle of comparing me to Ewan whenever I did something he didn't like, regardless was it something she'd really do or not. In this instance, running away was a classic Ewan move. Later on, NHB would confess that he fondled her and they made out. Of course. Ewan would not ever tell me what happened, but I still wonder if they just did that, because neither had any problem lying to me. But yeah, I stayed with both of them for 7 years, and this was only like a couple of months in. Oh, dear God, you poor, poor child. Meanwhile, in her vocational school, Ewan had made new friends. New friends that, in the years to come, would become my friends when we realized the asshole in the middle was not one of us, but Ewan, who shit-talked and lied about all of us to all of us. Shocker. Brute is one of the few brutally honest people who really aren't assholes. Ewan herself claims to be brutally honest, or just honest, when she'd tell you to go self-end. Yeah, you're not honest, you're just a fucking bitch. Brute would see people through any kind of bullshit excuses and just state the facts. This made her not very popular. Brute recalls Ewan just waltzing up to her one day on a school trip.
Hey, I'm Ewan. I can't help but notice that lovely Final Fantasy IX binder you have. I love Final Fantasy II. Want to be friends? You should know my best friend stole my ex that I had a baby with and I had aborted from me. How awful is that? The actual fuck. Brute, as many people when they first meet Yuen and her zero filter and entire life story vomit, did not say anything but just stared in awe, wondering what the actual fuck. Yuen took her silence as acceptance and plopped down next to her, and went on and on about herself some more and her obsession with games and anime. She'd tell her truth, as she likes to express it. Yuen could not be removed, or Brute was uncertain how dangerous this brand of crazy was, and allowed Yuen some time to prove herself. She tagged along and met Brute's friends, Emo and Fabulous Peacock. Oh yes, in case you're all wondering what happened to Yuen's goth vampire fiancé, Yuen would just try to score with NHB and guilt me into leaving, and Vamp was somewhere. She was with him sometimes. They lasted some months, got engaged right away. According to Yuen, Vamp cheated on her, and then she called it off, and he dramatically flung his engagement ring into a river. This upset Yuen immensely, as she found it really disrespectful to their relationship. I never did get Vamp's side of the story, so I can't compare stories, as I often did when it came to what Yuen told me. After some months of pining after NHB unsuccessfully, Yuen started to give up and tell me that she's actually, dare she say it, bisexual. Like I'd attack her or scold her for this or something. I was cool with it, because people's sexual preference has never been an issue for me. She then told me about Vegan, her longtime best friend, who she had a crush on, but who rejected her. She did not have nice things to say about Vegan. Actually, all of her friends, when she talked about them, seemed awful. So why are these people still your friends?
I'm sorry?
No, I mean, you keep telling me how terrible they are to you, so why do you have them as your friends if they're so mean to you?
I don't know, I guess I'm just used to it. I'm sorry, such a piece of shit.
Later, I'd meet Vegan, and she was one of the sweetest people. Just not into Yuen, even though she was a lesbian. And she was very firm in Yuen needing to quit her bullshit and behave. Yuen did not like that at all, but kept her because Vegan, too, would sometimes gift her things, and was nice to Yuen when Yuen could manage to behave. So back to Brute, Emo, and Fabulous Peacock. Since Yuen could not have NHB and was starting to lose hope that she ever would, she, as a bisexual, now turned her sights on Emo. Emo was a nerdy bilingual goth chick who dressed a bit boyish. Brute recalls Yuen pressing Emo like, "Are you sure you're not really a boy?" I died a little inside when I read that. Which made Emo uncomfortable, fucking understandably so. Yuen became obsessed with Emo and followed her everywhere. Emo had never gotten this kind of laser-focused obsession on herself and was confused. Pretty soon, Yuen does what she'd always done, pushed and obsessed until the object of her desires, now poor Emo, caved and agreed that they were dating. Yuen would make out in public with Emo when an ex of hers passed by to make a point. Yuen would constantly physically hang onto Emo's arm. She made lovey-dovey art of them together. She tried to separate Emo from Brute and FP, to not be disturbed, isolate Emo and have her all to herself. Emo was pretty smart, though, that, or had Brute to back her up and tell her what's what, and stand her ground. If you don't like her and she makes you uncomfortable, you don't owe her anything. Leave her. You don't have to be with her. She dumped Yuen after 9 days. Brute recalls Yuen wailing, "Why?" and bashing her head on a wall because she was so heartbroken. Because Yuen was hung up on Emo, she weaseled her way into Brute's 18th birthday party. She had not been invited, but she was so lonely. And she made the request at FP, who, like OP, had a bleeding heart back then. Brute had reserved a table at a restaurant where they had a booth. It was Brute, Emo, FP, and her boyfriend, and Yuen. The conversation was going civil and normal. Brute and FP and Emo were congratulating Brute. Yuen was not having this lack of attention. She started hitting her head on the booth's walls. Everyone stopped talking and looked at her.
"So I bought a new dildo."
What the fuck? The table fell silent. Yuen chattered on loudly in the restaurant about the specs and features on her new toy. FP is nothing if not a diplomat and extremely polite, so she managed to gently steer the conversation away from the dildo and back to normalcy. But Brute was seething. But she didn't want to make a scene in a public place on her birthday. She was still hoping to be able to enjoy it. Yuen would do her damnedest to ruin it by making the day about her. She'd recite to FP's boyfriend, who she had not yet personally told about her dead baby's father being stolen by her best friend and how unfortunate and unlucky she was always seemed to be.
tragic heroine in her own manga. The dumbfounded silences she tended to receive, she took as acceptance and just kept going. This is where Brute decided to start ignoring her. Yuen was dead to her, and the feeling was mutual. Since Yuen wanted someone to coddle her and compliment her no matter what, Brute would not. Brute would tell you how it was to a fault, and a lot of stuff was fucked with Yuen. Yeah. She never wanted to hear it. Yuen would later write a poem about Emo titled 9 Days in Heaven and beg Emo to come back. Emo, to this day, states those 9 days were fucking hell. I looked for this poem, but it's been lost. FP might have some of the art still, or maybe they are in the hands of Mimic, who hamstered a lot of Yuen's sketches. Later, Yuen would try to also woo Fabulous Peacock, but I'm getting ahead of myself again. It all gets wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey because this chick was batshit and it got around. I'll write more later. We're approximately 1 year in out of 7. So, again, Yuen does sound very manipulative and is totally based on, this whole do things for me, so on and so forth. But as bad as that can be, and a lot of times with a lot of neckbeard and legbeard stories, whenever we talk about that, we focus on that. But I don't really want to focus on Yuen. I'll just say Yuen bad, and then get back to the actual fucking monster in the room. This little headband motherfucker. Yeah. Oh yeah. This shit, this fucking evil shit, I got really pissed, obviously, during the course of this story. And I thought, since we spent a large chunk of time learning about Yuen's kind of typical legbeard manipulative bullshit, that we wouldn't really, still have that anger. It's still there. It's still fucking there. This guy, I don't have enough words to say how much of a piece of shit this guy is. I don't have enough words to express to you how fucking vile this kind of behavior is. I do not have the actual capability, no matter what I do, to really express to you how fucking disgusting this man is. I despise this kind of shit. Fucking loathe that kind of manipulation. I know people who've been through that, and I knew people who fucking did that shit back when I was in this horrible fucking place, just like you, Greenie. I feel that shit. I've been there. I knew motherfuckers like that. And now that I know what it's like, not only to go through it, but to see other people who do it, I feel nothing but abject hatred for shit like that. I cannot express to you how fucking sorry I am that you had to go through that. I don't have the words. I just don't, I really don't know how to express to you that this is really fucking awful. And you said 7 years, dude. That's so fucked up. When I first started reading this, I got a lot of comments from people who have been, I guess, listening to this on Red X's channel, and I guess maybe even Read Ahead. And they warned me that this was going to be, rough. And they warned me that, I got a lot of, this is going to be a really tough story. Are you sure you want to do this, Moonhorse? And, it is really tough. It is. And I'm not going to lie about that. This is hard. I don't know when I'll get to all of it. I don't know when I'll finish it. But the one thing that you must always remember, because I scrolled down a little and I saw that some of your friends also commented on this. The one thing you guys always have to remember is that you are not alone. You are loved. You are cared for. Despite what evil motherfuckers like these freaks say. Despite their manipulation, despite their fucking bile, despite their fucking hatred and their petty, pedantic bullshit, you're better than them. You're stronger than them, and you are always fucking amazing. And if either one of them, I seriously doubt you're in contact with them, but if either one of them tries to tell you that's not true, I'm literally a space god, an actual fucking unicorn. Eat shit, I'm always right. You guys are wonderful, and you don't deserve the shit you went through. I can't even begin to express how fucking horrible this is. And I'm sure I'm going to be having this kind of conversation several more times, but I am going to go through this. Like I said, I don't know when and how I'm going to finish everything, But I'm not going to fucking walk out on this. You guys deserve someone to hear your story. And you deserve compassion and understanding. This is some hard shit, man. It's rough. But damn it, healing goes through. Healing takes time. And you don't have to do it alone. I want you guys to all be safe. All of you. Not just, the people involved in this story, but, like, everybody listening to this. Even if you're not, like, a fan or subbed or whatever, just be safe. Take care of yourself. It's scary out there. And, there's the description thing with all that stuff in it. You can check it out. I don't know what else to say, man. But I do want you to know that you're not alone. That goes for all of you. I love you guys. Please take care of yourselves, okay? And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.